Thanks so much. Welcome, everyone. It is great to have you here. This is the culmination of quite a few months of planning, and I think that we have a super exciting program ahead. I wanted to point out, while it's still fresh in your memories, the images that you saw at the beginning of the moon were actually taken by an amateur. Gary Varney is, Gary, yeah, amazing job. I've seen some of your other work. Just wanted to highlight that. Nice work. So 50 years ago, at this very moment, and by the way, happy Apollo anniversary, everyone. I know there were some wonderful ways that we all celebrated it. What an amazing thing, right? I personally got to see the Saturn V projected on the Washington Monument last week. I know Sarah Noble and others, and Jake Bleacher and others were giving some of the presentations, and what a wonderful celebration it was of such a historic event. How many people here remember that? Remember the Apollo 11 landing? Yeah, so it's less than half. And quite honestly, that's a good thing. That means that we have some young people here who are going to see our next flights to the moon very soon. So as I speak, 50 years ago to this moment, the Apollo spacecraft was hurtling back towards Earth, something around 100,000 miles away, aiming towards a splashdown on July 24th, 1969. We have a very, very special celebration of that, of the anniversary of that splashdown. I think you all know, and I hope you've all signed up for our special program on the USS Hornet, which is the aircraft carrier that picked up the 3 Apollo 11 astronauts. We're going to have reminiscences, and we're going to have other things that Christina is going to be telling you about in just a minute. We're privileged that we have some senior folks from NASA headquarters who are attending. I'm not sure if any of them are here quite yet. I know 2 are arriving tomorrow, so Jim Green will be here, the NASA chief scientist. Steve Clark. Steve, are you by any chance here? No, Steve is the head of the Lunar Discovery and Exploration program within SMD, and Lori Glaze will also be joining us. She is the newly confirmed head of Planetary Sciences Division. We also have a number of other headquarters folks. We have Ben Bussey, Sarah Noble, as I mentioned, Shoshana Wider, Jake Bleacher, Victoria Andrews, Betty Siegel, and gosh, I hope I haven't forgotten anyone. If so, it's my fault. I want to acknowledge all the young people here. A handful of us went over to Loon GradCon yesterday, which is the annual conference that is held by and for graduate students studying lunar science. How wonderful that was to get to speak with them. And then we had a special breakfast where we always talk with the young folks, give them pointers on how to do their lightning talks that I encourage all of you to see a little bit later. And they're our future, quite simply. And there is no higher priority within SSERVI than bringing that next generation to bear on all the wonderful problems that we have. I want to thank our 2 SOC chairs, Esther Beltran and Jessica Barnes. Jessica, I don't believe, can make it, but Esther, there she is in the back, so thank you, Esther. They worked very hard on the program, and I think that you'll see it reflects all their wonderful work. I want to thank the local organizing committee of folks here at Ames on my staff, and chaired by Yvonne Ibera. And then I want to also say that we are looking seriously. We are about 90% sure that we're going to have a change of venue next year for the first time for the Exploration Science Forum, and we are most likely going to be having it in Boulder, Colorado, right around the same time of year. So there's a lot of reasons for that, but I think that this could inject some fresh energy into the forum and give some of our PIs. We have a lot of PIs in Boulder. Additional ownership of it. So I think this is a really exciting opportunity to move forward with. We don't have a venue or planned dates yet. It's going to be around the anniversary of Apollo 11 as it always is, but stay tuned for announcements which we'll put on the Penn and Lunar L. I want to add that we're joined by a number of our international partners. Mahesh Anand is here. Simone Del Agnello, Kyung Kim is here from Korea. And we have a very special event on Thursday morning. We are going to have the signing of our brand new partnership with JAXA in Japan. Masaki Fujimoto is flying in tomorrow, so we're super excited about this. This is years in coming, and there's a lot of really great stuff that we intend to do with our Japanese colleagues. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Christina Gibbs, who's going to share in some of the announcements, and then I have a little personal story to tell after that.
Thank you. Welcome. I will try to make this as painless as possible, but I have a lot of the logistics to go over for everybody. Normally at this time of year, we have our annual report available. Our PIs and our team put a lot of work into this. It is in the print shop, so we are hoping, keep an eye out for it, but we are posting it online if anybody would like to see the work that was done in 2018. And then regarding the forum, we have some highlights, and just want to point out to everybody, if you haven't seen it, we have a league town hall today. Dr. Cohen's going to be doing that. Tomorrow, we have a town hall with Dr. Glaze. In the morning, we have Astrobotics who was able to join us from one of the selected CLIPS teams, and so they'll be presenting along with Steve Clark's presentations about the CLIPS program and the workshop tonight. So a lot of good information related to that is available. The focus groups are Tuesday and Thursday, and the awards ceremony for our SSERVI awards is at 8 o'clock. Please check the errata sheets. We have had to change things around for the signing, and the start times are different. It is not 8:30 every morning, so keep watch of the times that we start each day. And then related to the Hornet, we do have some exciting things, as Greg mentioned. When we first get on board the ship, they are hosting a Apollo Perspective with crew that helped recover the capsule. So we are invited to listen in on that. They have a large stage in their hangar deck. So please make your way kind of over to that if it's of interest to you. I think that will be really interesting. And then about a half an hour after that's done, we will take the stage with a panel on lunar geology and the past, present, and future. And we will be, Ben Feist will be presenting the Apollo 11 audio tapes to the Hornet, and we'll have some discussion from our NASA leadership as well for the public. So we're excited about the program, and then people will have an opportunity to explore. Now there are still some seats on the buses available, about 30. So if you didn't sign up and you are interested, please go see the registration desk, or Yvonne. Yep, she's standing right there. Wave again. Turn around. Yvonne will get you a star on your badge to get on the boat. These badges are your access to the boat, so please make sure you keep them on tomorrow afternoon. You've also seen lots of communication from me about food and meals. I'm going to start off with an apology. One of the big reasons we're considering moving next year is because of our challenges with coffee and food and things like that. So if you ordered for today, you have badges in the back of your badge. If there's a mix-up on the day, just see the front desk. And then if you still want to get a sandwich for tomorrow's bus, we're going to eat on the bus just to keep things moving. It's a tight schedule. Please go and purchase a ticket. We can still buy sandwiches for Wednesday. We cannot buy lunches for Tuesday or Thursday. The coffee, you've probably already figured out. And then you can still order pizza for tonight. If you're staying for Steve Clark's workshop, we are going to have pizza and a cookie for $8, so please let the front desk know about that as well before 2 o'clock today. So I think that's the bulk. Oh, we also have waters and sodas available this year to purchase. I know sometimes the coffee may not be around in the afternoon, so you can purchase some caffeine in other forms. So with that, I will leave it at that. If there's any questions, please let me know or go to the front desk, but we're happy to have you here.
Thank you, Christina. One thing that I want to emphasize in terms of tomorrow, there are very few food opportunities, and so we, as Christina noted, we had an opportunity for people to order lunches that closed last week. There is another opportunity to get lunches. We made a special order. I put it on my own credit card. And so please, please plan on having lunch tomorrow. It's going to be a very long day. We don't want a bunch of very hungry people at the end, and so you can order your lunches at the front desk. It's $15 and it includes a drink. So Ricky, if you could bring up my presentation, please. I just wanted to share. It's a historic year, and I'm sure that we've all been very reflective. I sure have, and I wanted to share a few thoughts, personal thoughts. My grandma, Edith Bacon Schmidt, was born in 1892 on our family ranch. As a girl, she didn't know anything about automobiles. She was 11 years old when the Wright brothers first flew at Kitty Hawk. Her first ride in a plane wasn't until she was an older woman. But, and I saw this in her journal that I read recently, she saw men walk on the moon. And it's hard to imagine the impact of such changes in a single lifetime. She did this needlepoint, which I have. It's one of my most treasured possessions after this historic landing. So how did all of this affect all of us? Actually, even before the landing, I found this in my stack of books that I got years ago from my parents. And this was a huge influence on me. I'm going to talk about it a little bit more later, but it has illustrations inspired by Chesley Bonestell. I've been a fan of his my whole life, showing a kid's journey to the moon. When I was 6, 7, 8 years old, I thought this was going to be a routine thing, by the year 2000, when I was 40 and really old. So, but I actually think that we're on the precipice of it becoming a routine thing. So what kind of other impacts did it have? Last year, my wife, an earth scientist, and I traveled to Mongolia for one of her projects. We sat around the gur, which is what they call these things in English. It's typically called a yurt. I remember sitting to late one night talking with these people, and they were sharing stories through an interpreter. We were singing songs together. It was just a truly wonderful evening. And then they asked me to tell a story. And I said, sure, what would you like to hear about? What they said was Apollo. I thought, Apollo, wow. I mean, I am about as far from the United States as you can get, and yet that's what they wanted to hear about. Now, they had a clue. They knew I worked for NASA and all of that, but it was still having an impact nearly on them so far from us, nearly 50 years later. Now, a few of us, Brian Day back there and some others, went to see the recent solar eclipse in Argentina. Spectacular. I highly recommend it for those who haven't done it. But there were some other things that came out of that trip. We went on a bus ride to the mountain Aconcagua, which is the highest mountain in the Western Hemisphere. And I got to talking with this fellow here about just about things in general, and I told him about this upcoming anniversary. And I said that we had on July 20th, we were celebrating the 50th anniversary of Apollo 11. And he said, oh yes. He says he knew about that, and he said that, and that's Friends Day. And I said, Friends Day? What's that? And he says, well, this was something that was started in Argentina because of Apollo, because they felt, without any prompting from us, that this had brought the world together. And so they started Friends Day, and it's now celebrated in quite a number of Latin American countries. I don't know about any of you. I had no idea about this. I saw this on July 20th, on Saturday, and I think this sums it up just so well. We were all truly one 50 years ago on Saturday. And there's so many other stories, and I'm sure a lot of you could share them, and I'd love to hear them while we're here. So what I want to do is look forward for a minute right now. I want to first think about that book cover that I showed you that inspired me. And it did inspire me when I was a boy. But there was a little bit of an issue of it, and that with it, as I looked through this, it was apparent to me now there were no little girls in this book, and there were no people of color in the book. And so what did they do for inspiration? We missed a whole generation that way, maybe more. I'm an optimist. Those of you who know me know that very well. I think that we're going in a good direction. There are a lot of problems that we have to solve here, but I think that we're pointed in the right direction. I wanted to talk a little bit about this tartan that you see here, which was given to Jim Green and me by a Scottish man, and he designed this to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Apollo landing. Carly was there with us when it was dedicated. It was really a wonderful ceremony that we had in Manchester. One of the things that touched me the most about this tartan and its design is what inspired him. And here's a man who lives in Scotland and has lived there his whole life. And again, he was deeply touched by the Apollo anniversary, and he specified thread counts of this tartan, which, as you might imagine, are very significant for the Scottish people. And he has an equal thread count for the brown, the tan, and other colors, which signify the different peoples that worked on Apollo and contributed to the space program. That was one of the things that was most important to him. And I will make a side apology that our socks and ties, unfortunately, are not here. One of the reasons that they're not is that the designer did not get those thread counts right, and we wanted to make sure that they were right, because that was the intention. I happen to think that we missed a lot by not including the diverse points of view enabled by everyone. You know, thank goodness, like I say, that's changing. We do have a long way to go, that's for sure. Mr. Bridenstine has announced that the first woman to walk on the moon is going to be on the very first mission to the moon. That's a great step forward. I look forward to all-women crews. I look forward to crews involving diverse peoples from all around our globe, and certainly representative of our society. Quite simply, it's going to make us better and what we do better. It's super simple. I want to conclude by showing you the photo of a young woman who has been inspired by Apollo and the space program. Her name is Kayla Jimenez. Is Kayla here? I think she was, no, maybe not. Okay, all right. I think she may be here tomorrow. Yeah, okay, all right. Well, let's make sure we introduce her tomorrow. She was born with a number of problems. She's autistic, and she faced a lot of difficulties when she was young. But art and the space program has inspired her, just like it's inspired so many of us. She, at our request, and this is due to our wonderful senior executive admin, Yvonne Ibera, she painted the picture here that you all saw near the registration desk. I encourage you to take a look at this and to read it because excuse me. It's just, I knew this part was going to get me. It's just one example of how when we open our minds and hearts, we can bring in everyone to contribute to this great adventure. So, thank you very much. Have a great forum.